Torn from the heavens, they fall from the sky and walk the streets among mortal man. They hide in shadows, keepers of the night. Mortal life is brief, can't hold back the demons, yeah. The blood pours as rain, and soon you'll be alone. Descending angel, stand by my side. We'll face the night. Descending angel, who'll guard the gates of hell. Just one more night. Born or created in the image of a God, the heavens fall, no Savior has been sent. There's no one to guide us, alone we face the night. Mortal life is brief for the revelation. They make their final stand, and soon you'll be alone. Descending angel, stand by my side. Who'll face the night? Descending angel, guard the gates of hell. Just one more night. Ooh, forever. Thank you.
Inside I was treated by the cycle left. Lines of code and hell. Obsessive hands of the grove, your neck. Look at this guy, I hate me back.
Torn from the heavens, they fall from the sky and walk the streets among mortal man. They hide in shadows, keepers of the night. Mortal life is brief, can't hold back the demons. Yeah. The blood pours as rain, and soon you'll be alone. Descending angel, stand by my side. We'll face the night. Descending angel, who'll guard the gates of hell. Just one more night. Forever and tonight. Born or created in the image of a God, the heavens fall, no savior has been sent. There's no one to guide us, alone we face the night. Mortal life is brief for the rebel angel. They make their final stand, and soon you'll be alone. Descending angel, stand by my side. We'll face the night. Descending angel, guard the gates of hell. Just one more night. Ooh, forever and tonight. Descending angel. Ooh, my little rebel angel. My little rebel angel. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Descending angel. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. We actually do
You're
have.
welcome. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. So we are live on D Live, which is, I don't know if you're familiar with that platform, but it's an alternative. It's kind of, I wouldn't call it like YouTube, but I guess it's my alternate to YouTube, and it's usually a smaller audience. So we have like 65 viewers in right now, which is live. So if they want to interact with you, send a super chat, guys. You can always go to streamlabs.com/MartinoMarcota and you can send a message and communicate with him that way, or communicate with me that way. But yeah, I'm going to premiere this live tomorrow on YouTube. I don't know. Do you YouTube much, Michael?
I push a stream out to YouTube every now and again.
Right, because you have a show, Radio Deadly, right?
Yeah. Usually what I use YouTube for, I have some videos up there, but I have this stream that I do called the Michael Graves Show, and it's me and my partner Arturo, and yeah. I'm not. My weakness is social media. Like
Right.
I'm a parlor. I just don't go on there. I can't bring myself to constantly update it. I'm just really bad at it.
Well,
I hate
people
looking at it, to be honest with you.
Well, you know what? This is a smart thing to do, because it's actually the worst of the worst people are on it. It's a vile, horrible thing, and it's something that people our age. I was born in '85. I think you're roughly my age. I'm not a Zoomer or anything, and people like us really are not.
I was born in '75.
All right. Oh, exactly 10 years apart. Amazing. Yeah, and so people our age generally, I don't really know too many other people that I went to high school with or people my age that are on it, but
Mm.
it's also, we're not
Yeah.
really aware of like the craziness that social media can bring in our life. We're really not equipped for it, I don't think. So it's fine, stay off of it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
thank you for joining. So yeah, we will premiere tomorrow on YouTube, so that should have more viewers, more eyes on this, and it will be live in
Awesome.
a sense. So there will be people in the chat that. So it is kind of like a live thing, premiering again, kind of like when you record something and it goes live on TV. But so people are in here. Most of the people know you. They're big fans. They say really nice things in the chat right now. Some people have seen you perform live in '95. They say in the '90s. Some people say they've talked to you before and that you're really nice. So a lot of fun stuff. But we're gonna
Yeah.
start from like the beginning because someone like me, I'm not particularly I didn't really know too much about you or even the Misfits in general. Back in my day was like the early 2000s, so like 2000, I was into like AFI and like No Effects. I would go to those like concerts and stuff.
Mm.
So I didn't really know much about you or anything until Paul started sending me some stuff. And so I'm going to kind of scale it back and start from the beginning. So you are
Okay.
Michael Graves, right? You
Yeah.
were the front man. This is what people, know you. I'm sure you get sick of hearing this. You're like, I do my own shit, damn it. I'm my own kind of performer in my own
No, no,
right.
not at all. I'm
Right?
no,
Okay.
I'm very stoked on the Misfits. I love
Cool.
talking about
Cool.
those times. So yeah, dig away, dig
Okay.
away.
So yeah, so you're the former singer of the Misfits. Do you want to just like tell me a little bit how you got into that? You're really young. You were 19, and
I was when I
yeah,
started to audition for the Misfits. I was 19. It was after a series of coincidences in my life, like a lot of things. After a series of coincidences, I found myself with an opportunity to audition for the band. I was in a band called Mopes, and I was just out of high school,
right,
maybe a year out of high school, and I was working in a studio in Lodi, New Jersey, and it just so happened that Jerry and Doyle and Kenny and Kai Alpha, who are also the brothers who are the Misfits, Jerry and Doyle, they were working on a project called Max's Christmas, or Christmas like at Max's Kansas City, which is the equivalent of CBGB's in the old
right,
punk days. And they had found a cassette of them performing on Christmas Eve, in the late '70s, I guess early '80s, and it was a tremendous recording. But so they were working on it, and they were trying to get the band back together. They wanted to make a big comeback, and the producer, the owner of the studio, Bobby Aleka, I was working there one day, just doing vocals, and he asked me if I had ever heard of the Misfits because they were looking for a singer. And I was like, oh man, I don't think I sing like that. Thinking for some reason, the first thing that popped into my head was that was a death metal band.
mm.
Um, but yeah, so one thing led to another, and I learned a bunch of Misfit songs, and I started to audition for those guys.
So it was an audition kind of situation. That's pretty cool because auditioning is such a nerve-wracking kind of thing. I don't think I could audition for anything. Even I'm more of a dancer, so even dancing auditions, it's really like,
Yeah,
oh, like competition, other people. You must have like some sort of good confidence in order to do that.
I
Um,
was I was really really confident when I went into the audition. I was confident for sure.
that's amazing.
But the thing is that the whole process lasted like um, a good year at least,
Wow.
and
So they
um,
wanted to make sure they had someone right.
well, I'm sure they wanted to make sure that they had somebody right, but there was also a lot of dysfunction. So,
Right, right.
I heard that they were trying to get Dave Vanian from the Dam to play. They were reaching out to, I know they were trying to get Glenn Danzig back for a good while.
Right. So the story is that you replaced Danzig, right?
Well, yeah, the band originally broke up in 1982, and then Danzig created and performed as Sam Hain, and then he created and performed as Danzig, which he does now. But my story goes, again, coincidences. During this time, I was a huge Typo Negative fan.
Right. So I had in
And
my notes that Peter Steele has something to do with this.
yeah, yeah. So here I am trying to get this gig, and there's public auditions, there's private auditions, and clearly I mean, at least I think I'm the right choice. I'm a good choice for this. I'm the perfect match. But nobody ever handed me the baton. Fine. So jump forward about a year, and Halloween of 1994 is approaching, and the band has to make a decision whether or not they're going to come back that year, or they're going to have to wait another year, because it's the Misfits and you have to come back on Halloween or it's just stupid, right? You can't come back on like November 14th. It's just stupid. It's got to be Halloween.
All right.
But they didn't have a singer yet. So Ken Creedy, who's the manager of Typo Negative, reached out and connected with these guys, and Typo Negative was headlining the Roseland Ballroom that year, and Ken said, if you guys want, if the Misfits want to come out and relaunch on during the encore of Typo Negative, I said the stage is yours. So they said, yeah, we'd love to do that, but we don't have a singer. So they asked Ken if Pete would do it, and Pete Steele said, yeah, sure, I'll do it. I don't know any of the songs, but I'm down. So they called me and they said, Michael, will you teach Pete Steele the songs? I was a huge Typo Negative fan. So I was like, yeah, of course I'll teach Pete the songs. So we drive into Brooklyn, and we start playing, and we start going through the songs. It's like Halloween, Horror Business, probably Martian. At one point, Pete just stops the whole thing. He stops the whole rehearsal, and he's pointing at me saying, this is your singer. This kid right here should be the singer. He sings these songs better than anybody. Certainly, he sings these songs better than I do. So I think you should go with him. And it was funny because everybody looked around at each other like they had never thought of that before. And they were like, oh. So yeah, I walked out on stage that Halloween with the Misfits.
That's epic.
And Pete made my dreams come true.
That's epic. That's awesome. And yeah, so everyone else was like a little bit older because they're still the original bandmates,
Yeah.
and you were like this young guy.
I was the baby for sure.
That's
I was
awesome.
smoking cigarettes. Like I had long hair. I was 19 years old, right? So I came through the grunge. I came through the
Right, the 90s.
kid, so.
Yeah, the grunge.
Right.
Yeah, true.
So I was 19 so I was 20 years old at that point. When I walked on stage in New York on that Halloween, I was 20. So there was an 12-year gap between myself and Doyle and Chud. They were 31, 32, and Jerry was like 36, something like that.
Wow.
So there was a big gap. They were married. Chud wasn't, but Jerry and Doyle were married, and Jerry had children. So they were in a different, they were living in,
Right.
Totally different worlds than I was. I was just an out of control 20-year-old kid.
So you recorded from there, I suppose you recorded American Psycho and Famous Monsters.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, tell me about that.
American Psycho was the first album that we recorded, and I wrote a lot of that record. And
Oh, wow.
what I think, including American Psycho, what I wanted to capture on that record was, and American Psycho was a book that was written by Bret Easton Ellis. And in a nutshell, it's basically what the 80s did, especially to the culture and to the fabric of society, especially in around New York City. The story is set in New York and in and around
Awesome.
Wall Street. And the New York City in the early 80s was the most dangerous city in America. It made Chicago look like Disneyland. And it was dangerous to just walk out onto the street, and it crime and nobody standing up for anybody. The story of Bernie Getz comes to mind. And Bernie Getz they called him the subway vigilante, and he was about to be robbed, and and he shot four kids, and they were black kids, and it turned into this whole
But he was
racist thing.
yeah, but he was previously robbed before, and so he was really freaking out about this crime and getting mugged. Yeah.
That story is a macrocosm of everything that was happening in New York City and in a lot of different places in America. What the culture and the economics of the 80s did to our society. And in a lot of ways it did bad things and made a lot of crazy people. And then here's my generation, and we're the grunge generation. It was almost like we could see the storm up ahead. We knew that the world was fractured, and we knew that the world had this like psychic plague. There was a sickness happening, and I really wanted to capture all that within American Psycho and the changing of everything from our souls outwardly to everything, the environment. And if you listen to the songs on the album American Psycho, and you really pay attention to the lyrics and knowing that was the goal, you start to see those things pop out from the body of work. And we really hit the zeitgeist, and that's why I think that we were successful. I know that's why we were successful.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually really fascinating. And that's what I think good artwork always really does, right? When you're like tapping into like the culture and what's really going on. And I think that's something that you and I really kind of have in common right now, actually, because we've both been sort of. Oh, Paul, by the way, Paul, if you're watching, your pinging is picking up, I think, on the stream. So stop using Skype. Message me on Twitter, please. I have the Twitter open. Just message me on Twitter, please. Yeah, so I think that's what we have in common here as artists. And I mean, I'm New York City, born and raised. I was born in New York City. Went to NYU. I grew up in the Hudson Valley, actually, a bit upstate. But then I went down in the 2000s to New York City. And I love all that culture.
In the Catskills.
Yeah, the Hudson Valley is amazing. People don't realize how beautiful New York really is. They just think New York City when you say New York, but
that's right.
We've got lush, green, rolling hill mountains. We have the Hudson River. There's waterfalls. I don't know if you go hiking. I can tell you some good hiking spots out in the Catskills. It's amazing. But yeah, and as an artist and in the New York scene or whatever, we've both been deplatformed. So I'd love to kind of hear more about that. A lot of my fan base are very, the viewers right now, they follow my art streams. So I do a lot of art history. I focus mostly on arts and culture. I don't really try to get in and be like a pundit or whatever, but I've always been a bit right leaning. My family's from Croatia, so I was raised pretty anti-comedy. I'm a, patriot, nationalist and all that. And I feel like the punk scene definitely has always kind of been like that too. I mean, I know Billy Corgan as well. I think you do as well. I think you're going to do something with him, maybe. But yeah, I've talked to him and he has like our kind of perspective on things. And I feel like the arts and culture, like how important it is to tap into this, like you say, zeitgeist. And that's what really kind of makes a difference in art. That's what really kind of sets things off for people.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it's important to be informed. I think that it's important to know about where we are. That's why history is so important.
Right.
It's important to read and like Bob Dylan said, you got to know your song well before you start singing. And I think that the more knowledge you have, and the more, the more knowledge you have, the more you can tap into when you tap into that brilliance. I don't think that people, artists are necessarily brilliant. I think that they
Right.
tap into
Right.
they tap into something for a while. And I think that with knowledge, and it brings that empowerment, and that ability is more profound once you are able to tap into something.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, something that I always felt like as an artist working full time was that, and I don't mean this as a slight against anyone with a real job. I totally respect, I say real job. I'm talking like my mother would talk, my,
I
like,
know.
why don't she get a real job?
Yeah.
But,
I know, real job.
I know, I totally respect it. I get it. But anyone with like a real job, and I don't mean to put it down, but a lot of this concept too about the lost American dream and just kind of chugging away at your job, just like you're working, slaving away, working until you're 65. And then what do you have left over? You kind of, you turn into like a robot, and you kind of lose sight about the mysteries of the universe and what things are about. Like, why are we doing this? So as an artist, I had a lot of time to stop, think about life, watch people. And I think that Da Vinci did that a lot as well. He was watcher, a lot of artists watch people and think, and that's kind of what it is. Not that it's brilliant, not that I'm brilliant, a lot of flawed people as artists, but you have something different when you do it full time, that you get to kind of stop, sit back, and then think about life in a different way, and then put that into whatever your art form is. And that's kind of what resonates with people too.
Yeah, and the word resonate is perfect, because when you live that way, I believe that you resonate differently. Everything is about
vibration.
Everything resonates. Everything is about resonation. And when you live that way, you resonate differently, and those energies that you're trying to tap into, and the energies of the universe and that are around you, you attract, what you put out.
Yeah, but I feel like I don't know. I get the idea that you and I kind of feel a little. I don't know what the word is. I don't know how to put my finger on it, but it's like, for me at least, I don't know about you. It seems like you've done a lot of great stuff, but my potential. It's a sad. I don't know. My story is a sad story, man. I feel like I didn't reach my full potential. It just got taken away from me when I was starting to rise, and I just don't recognize the world we're in anymore, because they tore me down, and it's really sad. As like I said, being a New Yorker and all that, my love in New York, but New York kind of destroyed me. The people of it right now. I don't know what's happening in the world. I don't recognize it anymore.
I feel you. I totally understand. And there's certainly days that I feel that way too, where I say I feel like I've been torn down. I'm a Christian, and I have a deep, deep faith in God. And every time I feel that way, and it hasn't always been that way, but every time I feel that way, I lean back on my faith, and I say to myself, if this is God's will, because it's not mine. What I'm trying to do is, from what I believe is God's will. I'm trying to carry out God's will on this earth.
Right.
And so I'm not meant, even if inside, right, the human in me says, this is bullshit. I shouldn't have been torn down this way. I shouldn't have been attacked this way. My career could have gone so much further. When I'm trying to find money and do things and scramble together money for just bills, for my children, for my family, and life becomes difficult. Sure, I look out into the world with my human eyes, and I fucking rage, and I want to burn everything down. But then I fall back on my faith, and I say, well, this is the way that it's supposed to be. Let me just ride this through with a joyous attitude. I'm gonna and gratitude, and saying and staying in that calm space, and then things in my life happen like the past couple of weeks where I reconnected with Paul, and from that reconnection with Paul, from just something that I was, it's a longer story, but
Yeah.
I just, you know, I needed to apologize to Paul. It was something in my life that was very important. And then all of a sudden this opportunity to reach out to him, and there he was. And I got to apologize from him to him. And then from that, other opportunities, the opportunity
Right.
with Censored TV came along, and, it's just, it's, the opportunity here with you and meeting you. It's an amazing thing. And every time I think that somebody like you and I, who have been torpedoed in a lot of ways, when you and I, people like us come together, we're stronger. We're stronger for it.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. I mean,
But yeah, the world is fucking nuts.
I've always felt that way too, and especially because I call myself Lady Alchemy. So, and I mean, I was raised Catholic. I consider myself a Catholic, so don't get freaked out by that. I'm not some sort of like witch voodoo kind of thing, but
That's cool. Even if you are.
yeah. But my study of alchemy, it does kind of hone me in when I am frustrated by the world like that as well, and a lot of Christian stuff is connected with alchemy, and it reminds you to focus on the light, and I don't mean that again
Yeah.
in a hippy dippy way, but just when I light is like the halo of God, of Jesus, it's he has, and like it's the apologizing, that's the light that I'm talking about. Like when you're able to stop and apologize, I mean, not in a selfish way, but how good does that feel? Doesn't that make you feel more connected to the divine, when you're able to be selfless? And
Well, sure, it sure does. And often in those dark periods, I have to remind myself, and you should remind yourself as well, like you just said, that we're put into dark places because we are light, and
Mhm.
there would be no point, right? There's no point in preaching to the choir. That doesn't bring light. There's light there already.
Right,
If we're surrounded by godly people and godly things, if we're surrounded by angels, what's the point? We have to
right,
be surrounded by that darkness so that we're able to repel it.
right. That's true. And you mentioned briefly, what was it, Censor TV, and I have I don't know if you are
Yeah.
watching in the background, but I have all these graphics that I put up on this on this program, and so I have for yours. This is actually comic book art that is I'm working on for Lady Alchemy, and I decided it kind of really fits with the Misfits vibe because I see some sexy illustrations of chicks and they're weird and cool. So I kind of threw that up with some of your stuff. So Radio Deadly on Twitter, you're not super active on it, but you have your website and and
I used to be.
it's fine, it's fine. Don't worry
I
about it.
used to have tens of thousands of followers on Twitter before I got kicked off.
Oh, you got kicked off. Oh, what
Yeah,
what'd
yes.
you
Oh
do?
yeah.
Um,
I'm an. Oh yeah. Listen, I don't know what I did. I mean, I'm between being a Christian and a Proud Boy and a Trump supporter and a conservative and
right.
a redneck Yankee white guy
Yep.
that couldn't stand. So I lost my Facebook, my Instagram,
Oh
my Twitter,
shit. Okay.
YouTube. Oh yeah.
Okay. So yeah, we have on this little panel here, yeah, your website, which I threw up real quickly before you came on, the little commercial for your merch, but I'm gonna play that again a few times today. So remind me every once in a
Cool.
while if you want to just take like a few second break. I'll throw that commercial up every once in a while, but also the Censor TV. So you're doing your Radio Deadly thing now on censored.tv, and there's a promo code. What does it say? Promo code Graves.
Great.
So if you guys are
Yeah.
into that, if you're into, what I think is really cool, what you're doing. Let me put myself back on the screen while I talk to you. What I think is really cool, what you're doing, again, I think similar to me, if I do say so myself, is it's not just the same old thing about bitching about the left and what they're doing and what Biden's up to and what Meghan Markle is up to or whatever. It's like I think we have a different perspective on things. So if you guys are really interested in being a part of culture, we talk about this culture war all the time or whatever, but
Mhm.
the real deal is going beyond complaining about what Hollywood's doing and what the left is doing, and just getting into our own stuff. So what kind of stuff do you talk about on on your show? Like you get into the nitty gritty of you know, arts and culture, music. What do you talk about?
There's only 2 episodes right now on Censored.tv. The first one uh, was was a lot of talking about how I got to be on Censored.tv.
Hmm,
There's a lot of I talk a lot about spirituality.
cool.
Often I've been saying that sometimes God sends a misfit, and you know,
I love that. Yeah, yeah.
so so and I'm really mostly comfortable speaking about energy, speaking about
Cool.
spirituality, and I can obviously, hang and talk about specific things and talk about Biden and vaccines and the politics and Cuomo and the day to day things, if you will. I could do that. Um, but there's so much of that, and it's not necessarily like you said. It's not adding to the culture. The second episode that's was really uh, I put it together. It's like a mini documentary that starts really in like 2004, and it brings you through my journey of being canceled. It
Mm,
uh, and and the way that I've put the show together is it's almost like a variety show,
mm,
and the cuts and the breaks, and there's laugh tracks, and there's clap tracks, there's applause tracks,
cool.
and I'm trying to make it just like it's got to be music in it, and
Yeah.
um,
I mean, you
nice
got you.
visuals, and
Yeah, you got to have a piece of you, you know, and that's kind of something that I've been trying to come to terms with myself. Where me getting canceled, I haven't been performing really much at all, and then COVID happened. So, but I didn't have
yeah,
much work either way. When I did get work, I would end up getting a message being like, "Due to the safety of others, we heard you're a right winger, so we don't want you at this thing." So it's like
yeah,
it's been
you're right.
yeah, and it's been really tough trying to figure out where my place is, because when I sit here and I dance in my apartment, I go, man, like this is where I'm at home. Like I'm at home, like I don't mean literally, physically. I just mean spiritually. Like I'm at home. I'm one as a dancer, and this is what I'm meant to do. And so it's been a unique experience. I'm not good at talking. I don't like. I honestly don't like doing this. It makes me nervous. You know,
I
I'm
hear
not.
you.
I'm not a
I'm
talker.
the same exact way,
I'm a
and
performer. And so trying to tap into
um,
what you're good at doing, and having that fit with our aesthetic and what we're doing now is really important.
yeah, I think that my main goal, even with everything, with the Radio Deadly show, with when I perform, I want to motivate people. I want to make people feel better, you know. Um, so with the it's been really hard for me as well,
Mm,
transitioning into this hell that's been created by all of this nonsense. Um, I dedicated my life again, and was really chugging along, trying to become a great performer on stage.
mhm,
And you're a dancer, and so you know exactly the type of focus, not
mhm,
only in your mind that you need to have, but the work that it takes to put into your body to be able to do the things and
mhm,
to live on the road and to perform night after night after night at a high level with all sorts of different variables, temperature, sound, sizes, everything,
yeah.
and to just be upended and to all of a sudden have to rethink everything. And you're right. I'm not a good speaker either. I listen back to the Radio Deadly show or when I appear on wherever, and I hear myself speaking, and sometimes like sometimes like I'll call my partner and I'll say, am I even speaking English? Like it doesn't, to me, it doesn't seem like I'm making sense at all about anything, and that I shouldn't be on air at all.
Right. I agree. Well, about me, not you. Yeah.
Well, but you put a guitar in my hand,
Right. Then
it's
you're
a lot
home.
more comfortable. That
Yeah.
uncomfortableness is much more comfortable for me.
Right, right. Well, speaking of too, are your is it too late? Are your kitties asleep? And are you the type
I
of
have
person that pops out and can just bust out a song, no problem?
I have my guitar right here.
Oh, that's amazing. I think that would be a good time for that. But real quickly before you perform, I did want to ask when we were talking about your career and everything real quick. Are you a trained singer, songwriter? Or are you just are like, no, I just naturally do this. Like this is what I do.
The only formal training I ever had was, well, I mean, formal training on a professional level. When I was a kid, I was a theater kid, so I was always in programs and learning about theater or
Yeah.
in chorus, or I was in some sort of improv group, you know.
Yeah, cool.
But I got to study with a man by the name of Don Lawrence, and Don Lawrence is a very well-known teacher, and I studied with him for almost 4 years. And the technique that he taught me it's based on an Italian operatic
Oh, cool.
technique.
Cool.
And he and his father found a way to turn that in using those techniques for this it's called Bella Canta.
Hmm.
And to use that, but use it in like a pop and a rock sense, and
Cool.
and the techniques that Don taught me, he's like my Yoda.
That's
I mean, he
awesome.
really taught me how to sing. So that's really only the formal training I ever had.
Cool. All right, I'm taking the screen to just you, and I'm going to mute myself and tweet out that you're performing. And
Let me just make sure that this is in tune. All right. That's all right. All right. We ready?
it's all yours. Stage is yours.
All right. Here we go. Torn from the heavens, they fall from the sky. Walk the streets among mortal men. They hide in shadows, keepers of night. Mortal life is weak, can't hold back demons. The blood pours as rain, soon you'll be alone. He's sending angels, stand by my side. We'll face the night. Descending angels, guard the gates of hell. Just one more night. Ooh, forever. Thanks tonight. Born created in the image of a God, the heavens fall. No Savior has been sent. No one to guide us. Alone we face the night. Mortal life is weak. Hail the rebel angels. Takes his final stand. Soon you'll be alone. Descending angels, stand by my side. Face the night. Descending angels, guard the gates of hell. Just one
Thank you so much. That was amazing. And really, really proud to have you doing that on my channel right now. And that is actually my favorite song of yours right now. Because as you saw, probably the little videos that I make, I do a lot of like Fallen Angel kind of performances myself. So splicing your song with my dancing, I was having a lot of fun with it. I was like, this is my song. And Paul's like, I know, I've thought of you. That's why I sang the song. I was like, this is my song. And it was really fun because I love the acoustic version that you do, and it really highlights your singing ability. But then I was playing around and trying to find, a more professional audio of it, and then I found the Misfits version of it, and I was like, wow, it's so crazy how there's like a duality to it, the Misfits version and then your acoustic version. It's just it's really cool. It's really cool to see.
Thank you.
So did you write that one?
I didn't. That's a Jerry Only tune.
Okay. Oh, so speaking of Jerry Only, I hear that he's tried to Paul says that I can bring this stuff up, so if you have an issue with anything, you take it up with him.
No. I always say to anybody who interviews me, really, there's nothing that's necessarily off the table.
Okay.
It's hard, if it's way uncomfortable, I'll say something, but
Okay.
I fortunately and unfortunately have really talked about everything. I'm almost an totally open book.
Okay.
Almost.
Well, he says that he has tried to sue you numerous amounts of times, and yeah.
Well, the threat of suit has always been there, and the threat of suit has come out of that end of the that camp under the guise of protecting their intellectual property. But it's really just, and I'm not saying that it's Jerry Only where he's sitting there at a desk going, all right, let me screw Michael over. It's probably much more somebody like John Cafiero, I would guess or assume. But it's just stupid because I don't have. You could sue me for $50 gajillion. You could sue me for $10 million. You could sell. I don't have anything.
Right.
I don't have anything that anybody really could take.
Yeah.
And they know that. The Misfits know that.
Right.
And that's the disgusting part of it, because I'm out there. I'm doing good. And what I mean by doing good is, I'm making people feel good. I'm dedicating my life in a lot of ways to the service of others. And as well, I'm out there. I'm playing the Misfits songs. I talk good about our creations and our music, and I'm playing it live, and I'm making people I'm making those publishing numbers go up, and I'm selling records, and I'm continuing on.
The legacy,
the great work that we did on those albums. So suing me or threatening to sue me is just stupid.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I mean, again, another thing we can probably relate to is that I have a former artist, is an illustrator who was a friend of mine, and I'm working on this comic book, right, for Lady Alchemy. That's my way of keeping her alive. This is a whole comic book industry thing happening right now, and a lot of us type people, if I can say it that way, in the comic book scene. And I hired a friend to illustrate it for me, and didn't work out. Okay, I'm not going to get into all the horrible details, but it was just someone that I ended up being like, you know what, I can't do this anymore with you. I'm going to have to let you go. Paid him thousands of dollars. Didn't ask for a penny back. Didn't ask for any money back. And just egos, man. The egos of an artist at times just became really bitter about it. And he's now trying to sue me for copyright of my own image, drawing myself with another artist. He's saying,
but you love it.
Yeah. And I'm like, I hired another artist to literally draw me as a performer with reference photos of me performing on stage. And you're trying to sue me for copyright infringement.
One of the things that gives me hope as we move forward is that people like us, people like us that have similar stories, that have gone through life as we've gotten older and have been knocked down so many times and are not the type of artist, we're not the type of person, we're not the type of human that does shitty things to other people. Nobody's perfect, right? We go through life, everybody has their moments, but it's not in our nature to behave or to act like that.
Right.
And so here we come into this industry that people that act like that thrive
Yeah.
on like every level. They're the type of person that's willing to stab you in the back and climb over you to get to the next rung, you know, to get a little bit more popular, to make themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And when I see that's happening through cancel culture and through all of these years, for me, almost 17 years of this type of thing, that now we're all coalescing into these groups, and you see organizations like Censor.tv and other organizations starting to grow and get bigger and bigger and more powerful, and giving voice to people like me and giving voice to people like you. And we're creating our own economies and we're recreating culture. And someday, I hope I live to see it, we're gonna take back the entertainment industry, because everybody's sick of it. Everybody sees right through it.
Yeah.
Like Grammys that are on tonight, such bullshit.
Oh, is it? Oh, I had no idea.
Exactly. That's my point, man.
Have
Right?
no
And
fucking
I only
idea.
knew it because my oldest daughter is like a huge Harry Styles fan. So she's like, oh my God, I have to watch the Grammys to see Harry Styles.
Oh, wow.
All right.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, I'm glad to have you on today then. That's awesome. And it's also, I thought I was pretty clever about it. I called it the Ides of March because, you know,
Love it.
yeah. And I was like, that's kind of cool and goth. I love it.
Yes.
And it's kind of fitting too, because, you know, E tu Brute and stabbed in the back kind of thing.
Indeed, I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Okay, let me see what else is on my notes. If you don't mind chilling around a little bit more. I've been recording I think we've been on for an hour with you so far.
Just a goth. I come from the old school goth scene, and it's so.
Okay.
Is there even a goth scene anymore? You know, like do people even know? Like you say, Sisters of Mercy. People are like, huh?
Right. Well, I mean, I remember there was this one like goth kind of bar in New York City in the LES somewhere. I mean, I don't know how the LES is nowadays. I also performed, I don't know if you know the Box, but the Box, I mean, that's not a goth thing by any means, but it's where I performed. It's in the Lower East Side. But yeah, my day is a whole Lower East Side thing. I don't know what's going on in the city now. I think everyone's in Brooklyn now, but there was.
I can't go to Brooklyn. I'll get killed.
Yeah.
Somebody will find me and kill me.
Yeah, but I mean,
At a certain level, that's true.
you know, honestly, yeah, it depends on where in Brooklyn, though. There's some surprisingly conservative areas of Brooklyn. I'm not going to out it, but you know, there are. They're not where the hipsters are, I'll tell you that. And it's not in the ghetto, but it's out there. It's by Staten Island, but yeah. Yeah, no, but as far as the goth scene, I don't know. Other than like Instagram girls that just like take selfies and like outfits like what I'm wearing right now or something, you know. I don't know. I'm just dressing up.
Yeah.
What was that?
There's no, like on the music side of things, there's no bands that I even know of. I guess there's no scene, obviously, but there's no bands that, you know, are like, want to be The Cure, want to be Sisters of Mercy, or.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
How do you feel about Rob Zombie? I always liked him too. Is that like a goth thing? Yeah. I love Rob Zombie. I love Rob.
I go to a Rob Zombie show, you know, back when you can go to shows. I seen him a bunch of times.
Oh, yeah.
And every time I go to the concert, I'm just like, oh, I should quit.
Really? Yeah.
It's just horrible.
You know,
because his stage show was
so cool.
so great.
So cool.
Monsters coming out on stage.
Yeah.
And people there's dancing in the lights. Awesome. He's so great.
Yeah, I love it. I do a workout routine to him. I do this like ab workout. I'm like, burn. You know, like it just gets me so amped. I love it. But yeah, that was my days in the 2000s too. Listen to Rob Zombie, and yeah, I mean he makes movies too. It's pretty cool. Yeah, what was I gonna say about that too? Something about his stage performance.
I see Marilyn Manson at the Limelight in the early 90s. He was
Nice.
opening up for somebody. And
Really?
yeah, and I remember seeing him come out, and I was like, what in the hell is this? It
That's
was like
awesome.
it was early in the 90s.
Yeah, man. I think,
This song.
I was too young in the 90s to be part out in Limelight, but I think Limelight was still open in the early 2000s when I was in the city. I think it only, yeah, I think it was still a club full on Limelight. And now like they do like pop up fashion kind of clothes selling stuff every once in a while or something there. Oh, actually, yeah, I think outside of Limelight in the early 2000s, I remember it was like 3 in the morning or 4 in the morning or something in the city. It's crazy how sometimes New York City can be like a certain side street, like between the avenues is like more residential, and it's like empty for some reason, 4 in the morning. You don't think New York City would be empty, but there's sometimes streets, the
Yeah.
side streets that can be just empty. And I remember walking by like 3, 4 in the morning, a side street by Limelight, and there was a taxi cab on fire, like like completely like on fire. And I'm just standing there like we didn't have iPhones at the time. I'm like, it's on fire here.
It's
What's
much more
going on?
common nowadays, actually.
That's true. All right, what do I have here? I got some notes. Paul helped me out with some notes here. So we,
Okay.
we played some music. I asked you a little bit about what's going on. Yeah, okay, so speaking of the early 2000s, you quit the band on stage in 2000.
Sort of.
Oh, okay. Okay. Gotta hear this.
Sort of. So I walked off stage at one point, that infamous show in it was in Orlando, Florida. But what had happened was I had informed the band that it was going to be my last tour. The tour that we were on was going to be my last tour, and then once we had completed that, I was going to take some time for myself. I needed time for myself. My mental state was not good. It was starting to create physical issues for me. I needed a break. I needed my life to slow down. And I had made, just to sum up the feeling of everything, I had, and where I was, I had made a phone call. I've never really said this actually out loud. I made a phone call to the management of the Misfits during that time. And again, this wasn't the first time that I had brought up that I was having problems, and I was seeking help for those problems. I called the manager, and I got him on the phone, and I said I'm gonna leave the band. This is gonna be my last tour. And he said, okay. And this is gonna be my last tour. And he said, okay. And again, I was calling out for help. I was looking for somebody to help make the situation within the band and in the band, within the band members better. And I myself was seeking help. And every time I turned to somebody, the door would slam in my face, and people would tell me, well, if you're not happy or you're having problems, there's a whole bunch of people standing behind you that would love to take your spot. So I had informed the band that I was leaving, and what had happened that night was Doyle got very upset. He became very emotional after I had told the crowd. I said that I was leaving, and I didn't know that when I was going to be back, that this was my last tour, and I said some other stuff, and it made Doyle emotional. And he walked off the stage. And one of the things that we had, it was all for one for all. And if one person walked off the stage, we would all walk off the stage, right? So I saw Doyle walk off the stage, and he was visibly upset. And so I walked off the stage. And then what happened was he and I had started arguing, and Chud saw that we were arguing, and also saw what was happening, and he hopped off the stage, and we all had this very emotional powwow of sorts. And meanwhile, Jerry Only was standing on stage in pure Jerry Only form. God love him. And he's going, and he's saying, you know, oh no, nobody's gonna be out here with me. I'll do it myself. This next song, here we go. And he counts off the song and he starts playing. Meanwhile, on the back of the stage, I'm screaming about, you know, see that there's the three of us here and your
Right.
brother's out on stage, and that's exactly what the problem is.
Mm.
And so this whole thing blew up, and it got out of control, and eventually I was ushered out of the building with security, and I wasn't able to go back to the dressing room, and it was this whole
Oh, drama.
embarrassing, stupid thing. And I said, you know what, fuck this. I don't need this. I'd rather go back and live in my crappy apartment in Seaside Heights, New Jersey, and be broke for the rest of my life and have nobody know my name ever again than to deal with this crap. This is stupid. For what? For money? For fame? For girls? For drugs? For what? It's just stupid. And so I left and I went home. I did. I took my ball and I went home. And they handed me about $450 in the parking lot that night. And they said, good luck, and left me with Chud and all of our gear in the middle of the parking lot that night.
And that's kind of that was it. There was no turning back from that point on.
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, have you guys like done anything together again, or is it just kind of like you're doing your own thing and people are, you know?
I came out on stage at some point, I think in 2001, before September 11th. And I came out on stage with Doyle a few years after that, but not since then have any of us worked together. And, you know, I'm toxic now, so it makes it even more difficult.
Right. So that kind of leads me to the rest of them. They don't necessarily have the same opinions as us or anything. They're toxic. You know, you're toxic to them.
I think that they, you know,
or you're toxic in general, and they don't want that to kind of.
Yeah.
Okay.
As much as Doyle might disagree with me, as much as Doyle might agree with me, and the same with Jerry. As much as he disagrees and agrees, it's really not about me and them. I think. And I know it's not them looking at me and saying, "Oh, Michael's a bad person." It's the situation where, for example, if in the circles that Doyle runs in and the things that he in the companies and the people that he's connected to, if he was to work with, and Jerry as well, if these guys were to work with me, and they would be putting a lot at risk.
Right.
There would be such a shit show. The press and people saying things and attacking Jerry and then Doyle and then who needs that?
Yeah, no, I mean,
not that it's the right thing to do to stay away from me, but I understand it. I understand it.
Right. Yeah, no, I can understand that as well, actually, because for me, I don't know if people can hear me. I had to turn down my mic. My husband said that my fan on the laptop was really loud, so I turned it down. I think my levels look okay, and I don't think the fan you can hear anymore, guys. Anyway, so yeah, I can understand that actually, because when I was getting canceled, it was like I had an agent and everything, and there was venues that, you know, there were people that still wanted to work with me, that still liked me. They didn't care about all that, but it came to a certain point with my agent who was like asking me like, what does Western chauvinism mean? Like, she's like, what is this? What they're saying this about you. They're saying that you're basically the spawn of the devil, you know, like they're saying all these things. What is going on? And it got to a point with her where she said, you know, and I was a really good worker for her, performer. And she didn't want to let me go. It was one of the best for her and for her business, you know. But then it got to a point where she said, I can't. Everyone is basically having a standoff saying, if you continue to book her, we're going to refuse to work. And it's not good, all the stuff that's coming out about you. What if clients look you up? And it's like, I got to a point where she didn't want to do it, but I understood what she was saying, where it was like, I get it. I'll step back.
and what a horrible thing that is. And if you haven't gone through it or haven't been near somebody that's gone through that, you can't imagine what it's like,
No.
because we're literally put into a ghetto.
Mhm.
We're put into the ghetto. And I know that it's a controversial thing to say, but the whole process and the outcome of what is doing this is the same mechanics, and it's the same principles to get the same outcome of what was done
Mhm.
to a lot of different groups, but most uh, noticeably or understandably, because most people know about the Holocaust and what happened with the Jews and the
Mhm.
way that they were demonized
Mhm.
and and put in ghettos. It's just different now. It's much more of a high tech lynching,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
it also spills over into, like you said, into regular life. If you and or I, or if I, for example, was to try to go get a job, which I have, outside of people that know me, and thank God I have a network of really great people that know me, that know Michael, the real me, and are able to help me through all of this.
Right.
But if I was to go get one of those normal jobs and somebody looked me up, who's going to hire me?
I
Right?
agree.
Who would hire me?
I mean, it even goes into getting an apartment. You go, they're gonna look me
Right.
up.
That's right.
They're gonna look me
That's
up.
right.
What am I gonna do?
That's right.
All it
That's right.
takes is one
And
Google.
if you don't fortunately come across someone who understands what's happening, then you're
Mhm.
screwed. Then you're not able to participate in
Life.
society the way that other people who either comply or whatever the case can or do.
And it's difficult to understand when you're not really fully in it. I mean, I remember even trying to tell people what's going on. It's like, what? Like,
Yeah.
nah,
Yep.
like that doesn't happen. I'm like, yeah, like it does. It just tears your life apart. I don't know what to tell you. And they do follow you. You know, it's something I've been saying since 2016 when it happened to me. But they won. You know, I'm born and raised New York. This is where my family is. My little sister, you know, came down with leukemia. She was in New York City hospital. I was with her there, you know, and my whole life is in New York. And what did they do?
Yeah.
They literally said, let's run her out of New York. I went, I'm born and raised in New York. This is where I'm from. You go back to Ohio or wherever you're from. Like, fuck you, you
Yeah.
know? They did. They won. They won. They got me out of the burlesque scene. They got me out of New York. I got another job in DC. I moved. They won. They won. And then what happened? They followed me at my new career and tried to make sure I got fired there and tried to make sure they tell the press about me there. So it's like, okay, well, what if I work at Starbucks? They'd be picketing with Starbucks, messaging the
That's
manager.
right. That's right. That's right. That's right.
So yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. Anyway, people know my story. I'm not here to talk about my story anymore. I just wanted to bond with you a little bit about it too, so that you understand like where I'm coming from, you get to know me a little bit better too. But all the viewers basically already know what happened to me. But let's get back into. I did make a note. I do remember my point was about Rob Zombie. This happens to me often. I forget what I'm talking about. Then I'm like, oh yeah, shit. And then while you're talking, I remember what I was saying. Rob Zombie. I wish
I
I
get
could
it.
sing. I really wish I could sing. I cannot. I'm purely a dancer. And I always imagine when I'm running, you know, working out or whatever, I'm listening to Rob Zombie. I go, man, I would love to do like a female metal cover band and sing like Rob Zombie songs. That would be
That'd be
so
sick.
cool. You know, just like a sexy goth babe doing like Rob Zombie songs. I think that'd be cool.
That would be
Um,
awesome.
yeah, maybe you got to teach me some of that Italian technique, but I don't know. They say everybody can sing. I don't know about that because I can't sing. I can rap. I think
Um,
I can rap.
I think that to a certain point, everybody can kind of sing.
Mm.
I think that certainly there's some people that are totally hopeless, but I think most people can.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think most people can.
Yeah, that's good to know. I'm, you know, in my older age, I might just like take some lessons and maybe. Are you familiar with like Laurie Anderson type of stuff, like avant-garde kind of music? Do you know who that is?
No.
Yeah, it's just sometimes a little like talky and like weird, say very avant-garde kind of music. I feel like Lady Alchemy could do stuff like that. Play damn it, Jack, what is the name of that instrument that's like has that weird synthy kind of sound, but you're not really touching anything. It's like wavelengths, damn, what is it called? Hold on.
It's not a dulcimer. The thing that goes like
Yeah, but and it looks like you're playing a violin, but there's like nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like just like weird shit like that. That would be cool to do. All right, my husband's probably gonna tell me what the name of that instrument is. What is it? Theremin. That's it.
That right there it is.
There it is,
Yep.
theremin.
The Beach
yeah.
Boys come to mind.
Really? Do they play theremin?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I didn't recognize that. That's
Sure did.
interesting. I actually played the flute. I was in the school band. I played the flute and clarinet. I know how to read music. So I'm thinking about maybe, I call it flute action. Every time I hear music, like flute into music, I go, there's flute action in there. Some flute action.
I wanted to play the saxophone so bad when I was young.
Oh,
I was
yeah?
horrible. The sounds that came out of that instrument were just terrible.
Well, do you know how to read music? Are you like trained in that sense? Do you do guitar things? No? Okay.
No.
Okay.
I have a hard time even naming the strings,
Wow.
to be honest with you. Yeah, I'm that.
It's interesting.
Yeah. If
yeah.
it wasn't for natural talent,
Right.
I would be lost.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's interesting, all those different kinds of musicians, because I am by no means creative. I can't come up with a song. I can't do anything unless I read the music. Like, I'm strictly like, I can play Rhapsody in Blue, a fantastic,
Yeah.
clarinet piece, but just take the sheet music away from me. I'll be like, I don't like, I could play you a scale. Like, I don't know what to do. I have no creativity.
I have just basic knowledge, even with guitar. I just have basic knowledge of the guitar. I know my basic chords. I know some. I know how to finger all the chords and everything, but I can't play scales, and I have a very primitive gorilla-like
cool.
grasp on the, which is good because there's like you said, there's artists, there's guys that they know everything. Oh, it's a pentatonic scale and it's 4, 8, 9, 7, 6. I'm just like, no idea what you just said, man, but I can make this thing make cool noises.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing the different types of musicians there are. I mean, my brother's that way. He doesn't read music, didn't do all that, but he's been in a rock band for decades, man. He's all about. Are you familiar with Kingston? Kingston, New York? We got a nice little scene going on there. Could hook you up with some things in Kingston.
I've been canceled in Kingston,
that
and
makes
sense.
It makes
I'm
sense.
not very far from Kingston at all.
Okay.
Yeah, I forget the name of the place that the owner was just like, oh hell no.
Really?
He found out that I was scheduled at the place, and they were just like,
we'll talk about it later. I probably know where it is because I used to perform in Kingston at some places, and so did my brother. But I have a feeling I'm canceled too, which they haven't asked me in anything in many years. But the one guy that did kind of work there was like, "That's it, like that's it. I can't support you anymore." I'm just like, "Fuck, there goes that venue. Damn it."
It's Kingston's a great. It's a beautiful place. I love history, and Kingston.
Yeah, first capital in New York.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Until the British burned it down. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, that makes sense. Kingston, it can be pretty lefty going on there, but I do know some people. The Hudson Valley is crazy because there's a mix of. Woodstock is nearby, so it has that deep rooted like hippie, musical, artsy vibe. It truly does. It's not superficial at all. I mean, Woodstock is right there by Kingston.
Yeah, for sure.
But then at the same time, it's upstate, so there are like rednecks. There are like Trump flags in like neighborhoods. Like
you gotta see where I live, man. I live in like. For me to go anywhere to get to a real store, I have to put in at least 45 minutes. I am out in the country, and you're right. I am surrounded by patriots. This is New York, and I am. there's Trump flag. These people refuse to take their Trump flags down.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
on any given day, there's,
Yeah.
I hear the gunshots
Yeah, I
and
was gonna say
people shooting
guns.
their firearms,
Yeah.
and there's lots of farms, and I live on a farm, so
Yeah, it's funny because I have like skulls and things I was decorating. I don't know if you see what's going on the screen, but I was talking to Paul. I was like, okay, so should I put chickens? You know, like I'll put chickens everywhere.
chickens.
And he's like, oh, you'll love that. I forgot to do
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, I won't take up too much of your time, but we want you a little bit longer, if that's okay. Just a little bit longer.
Yeah,
Let
I'm
me see
with
what
you.
else is
I'm with you.
here, and you can whip out the guitar at any point. I might want to talk to you
Okay.
for another 5 minutes though, and then maybe something else. I think people were also
Sure.
requesting what is this Game of Thrones people are talking about? Is that a song that you do? I think people are saying Game of Thrones. Oh, the chant.
No,
Oh, people are like throwing names out there. I'm looking at the chat now. They're like the chants. The chants is in Poughkeepsie. I remember the chant, man. That's
Yeah.
when I used to watch shows. I think I saw Mighty Mighty Bosstones in like 2000 there. It's
Yeah.
funny.
The chance.
The Chance
Yeah.
Theater. Yeah. Is that still
Yeah.
happening?
Last time I checked on the chance, I think it was for sale.
Right. That makes sense. It's a beautiful theater though. You know what? That would be great to
Yeah.
buy. This is what we need to do is we need to buy
Stage is
things.
200 feet in the air.
It's beautiful. It's like a vintage theater stage thing. But yeah, I mean, this is what we have to do. We have to have, I say this in every single art stream that I do because I read art history books
Yeah.
online, and all the time throughout, BC, everything to, 1700, we're at like 1700 to 1800s now. And I mean, whether it's Roman emperors or it's the Roman Catholic Church or it's the Medicis or whatever it is, some sort of pope or something, they fund the arts. They understood the importance of the arts and funding of it. And that is something that I wish the right kind of tapped into a little bit more, is that like, we need to start buying these places. We need to start owning this. I'm not saying make it this like conservative haven of like, we are only doing conservative stuff. I just mean own it. Own it so that we can't get canceled, so that people go, yeah, shut up. And we're still playing. We're still performing. We're still doing our thing. So, I mean, something like the chance being for sale is important. It's like, okay, guys, where's the right wingers with money? Buy it, own it. Have other people manage it. Fuck it, but you own it. That means people can't cancel us.
I agree. I agree 100%. And that's as well, it highlights what we're up against. So here you have all of these lockdowns that have happened over the years, and people like us, people like me who did have capital, who had a full head of steam of, in a business sense, going into these lockdowns that had happened. And then, so you get a year of all of this has put everybody out of business, has drained everybody's capital. There's so many properties that have been lost. There's so many people that have gone out of business, that have left the industry, which then leaves this huge vacant spot of people that were at the middle of like myself, where in a year I had plans to buy real estate and develop a studio and develop this, but all of those things came to a screeching halt, and I'm not the only one. There's a lot of people. So we all get canceled. Business people like myself, professionals like myself, are demonized and put in the ghetto and unable to do the things that I want to do because I've been canceled. So there's all of these things now in the middle that are available, and they just all get bought up by whomever, Clear Channel, or whoever the liberal guy in town, and make sure that none of the Nazi white power, Trump supporting Christian white people ever have a chance to mess up the society that they're trying to build.
Right.
And then it perpetuates the evil, and it gets to the point where, there's people being thrown into mass pits. But it's real, and that's what's that's what's happening. That's what's happening.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know, man. I'm glad to meet you, talk to you face to face. I'll hit you up when I'm in the Hudson Valley, and hopefully, it's about creating scenes too. Because I always have people telling
Yeah.
me, just leave New York, dude. Leave New York. I know so many people that is like, I can't do it anymore. I left New York. I'm
Yeah.
born and raised in New York. I left, and it's like, I don't know. I've always been a believer of like, nah, man, I'm gonna stay in my area of Brooklyn and like create a
Yeah.
scene from within, or upstate, or wherever I am. And it's like, let's build the scene and expand that, because I mean, that's what the left did. If you look at the Long March into the Institutions, I mean, Hollywood was
Mm,
Republican.
that's right.
There was a Red Scare, there was McCarthyism. It was full on Republican. But what did they do? They came in quietly. They're not screaming and ranting about Marxism. They they came in quietly, started owning shit, started owning production companies, started running things, started producing movies and things, and started slowly kind of changing and recruiting their own people in. And I think there's nothing kind of more exciting, actually, if we want to look at it that way, than being kind of a misfit, and being in this scene and building it from scratch, because I don't see the left doing anything cool.
Yeah.
New York City has
I
actually
agree.
not been that cool. So I can't think of
I
anything.
agree.
Yeah.
I agree that the people that are in this scene that we're building, the culture warriors, the neo-punk artists, whatever you want to call them, everybody is motivated. There's a fire inside everybody, and we're creating from our heart, and we're creating from our soul, and we're certainly much closer to the truth, as far as we don't put up veils. Like, we are who we are, and there's no pretense to who we are, and so we create a cleaner sort of art that's not pretentious, that's not
Right.
that's empowering, that's impactful. And
Yeah.
and so when I look out into the landscape of especially personalities, I don't see much music, to be honest with you, happening. But
No,
we'll
I
get
agree.
there.
And it's
I
like,
think we'll get there.
yeah, I mean, like, we need to make our own, like, okay, CBGBs was a thing. Okay. It's not anymore. Like, these things were a thing. It's not anymore. Let's build something new and unique and cool. And you know what? I'm not leaving New York just yet. I'm going to work on building
Yeah.
it a little bit. So,
Right on.
Right
Right on.
all right, I'll have you play something, I guess. Let me play your commercial too, real quick,
Okay.
for your merch, just so you guys know. He's got some merch. And speaking of merch, I would I would love to maybe, like, I don't want to put myself in this position of being like, let me collaborate with you or something, but I'm all about aesthetics, and I think it'd be really cool if I come up with some things and see if you like it, and you can have some cool aesthetics for some of your merch.
I'm in. I love collabs. I'm a
Awesome.
very small organization.
Cool. Well, this is the
Truly.
website, by the way, guys. It's officialmichaelgraves.com, and there's like a merch section.
Yep.
Which actually, after you perform, let's dig into that a little bit, because you have some interesting pieces here, like some sort of personal collection items, and this guitar,
Okay.
and some things. So let's get into that when you're done. But let me play your commercial. It's only 45 seconds, so let's do it real quick.
Okay.
Let's see.
Figure
Alright.
out what I'm going to play.
Okay, yeah, do that. All right, so I'll read the donations that came in when he's done playing. So, yeah, did you figure out what you're going to play?
If there aren't any requests, I'll play a song called "Locked Away."
All right, let me just see what people are saying. No super chats read. Okay, after he plays, I'll read the super chats, but let me see.
Super chat.
Yeah, that's when you got to get in. I get the super chats. Oh, it's not. Yeah, is it a super chat? No, it's a Streamlabs. Streamlabs donation. Okay, yeah, let's get into that. Just do whatever you want to do real quick. All right, you have the stage. I'm muting myself. It's all you.
Maybe the rain will stop today. Heaven shouldn't really seem this far away. There might be reasons you've gone away. We all have our reasons. We all have something locked away, hidden from the light. There must be something left inside of life. When are you coming home? Maybe the pain will stop today. And shouldn't really seem this far away. There might be reasons you've gone away. All have our reasons. We all have something locked away. Hidden from the light. There must be something left inside of life. So when are you coming home? Locked away, hidden from the light. There must be something left inside of life. When are you coming home? When are you coming home? When are you coming home?
It's called "Locked Away."
Locked away, and you wrote that?
Yeah, I wrote that in Bucharest, Romania, in like 2008. I was working on a film, and I just decided to stay in Bucharest for like a month, and yeah, I just had this creative explosion. And "Locked Away" is one of the songs that came out of that time.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, yeah, I mean, like I said before about the Descending Angel one, I was just super impressed to see you just do I'm impressed you can just bust out and sing right now. If people tell me to just get up and dance, I'm like, I do it on stage.
Yeah.
So it's amazing. And yeah, your singing ability is super jealous.
Oh,
And
thank
thank you
you.
for that. All right.
I'll close this out. I'll once we're done chatting, I'll play one more song, play us out.
Awesome. Awesome. Great. Great. Yeah, because we're wrapping up with kind of topics, and I've had you for a little bit of time, but I think people want me to read some super chats that came in. So we have,
Yeah,
I think it's Row House donated $5. Hello, hello. This is Michael. Have you ever been or played in Croatia? I figure
I
if
have.
Oh, he said, I figure if the
Oh,
women of Croatia look like Martina, then we should all go visit. I went a long time ago to Zagreb, the capital of Croatia. So yeah, you've been to Croatia, huh?
I have. Yeah, I've played
Nice.
Zagreb.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I've had some amazing I've had some amazing experiences in Croatia. Yeah,
Cool. Wow. I was
yeah,
it's always I don't know, kind of funny to me when I see people from the New York, New Jersey area that are like world travelers as well. It's kind of like no shit, like it's like a little place in like New Jersey or upstate New York, and it's like being
right. Yeah.
somewhere random is just like crazy. Um,
Listen, man, I look at myself in the mirror and I'm blown away. I'm like, I can't. It's very very strange. It's the duality of my life. There's me, this
right,
guy who I love being on my farm. I love my
right.
isolation. I love to just be amongst the animals and nature and my children and I don't. But there's this whole other side of me that I know is there and all that I've been through and seen, and it's just crazy. It's
It
crazy.
really
Like
is.
life is crazy.
It really is, and that's actually part of my comic book that I want. It was really, really important for me to have in the book of like, yeah, she's this performer in New York City, which I feel like is very, New York City is like Gotham City. I feel like it's like superhero
Yeah,
status, running around at night, and it's like this grungy. It's a cool city, and
yeah,
but then there's that duality. That's what I call it. That duality of then I go upstate and we talk about the word resonating. My vibrations are like, recalibrated being in nature and family and cooking and yeah, just walking around nature. And there's like a deer that's just hanging out by you when you walk out to the backyard. You're like, okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Like,
I mean, I've I've gotten to the point in my life where I've made peace with if I never have the opportunity to go out into the world again and experience the world again, I'm totally fine with it. It's different when I think about the world that my children are growing up into. But for me, I've lived such an amazing life. I've been to so many different places that I'm cool with, and I'm
yeah,
at
just chilling.
peace now,
Hmm.
especially after the past year.
Hmm.
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah, there's definitely something about it. And then Josh Randall disavows. Hey, buddy, he's a good viewer, supporter. Gave $50. Thank you. Says, hey, just dropping by to say hi from work. Can't wait to watch the premiere of this stream. So yeah, I'm gonna be premiering it tomorrow on YouTube.
Awesome.
Yeah, and some people can't catch it when I'm doing it on D Live, and it's really great to give them another opportunity. And I get to hang out in the chat, hang out with
Hmm.
everybody while it's playing. So it's super fun. Thanks, Josh, for that. And then,
Thanks, Josh.
thanks, Josh. I love that. Row House donated $3 as well. Again, he says, the left is smarter in how their rich spend their money. We have guys like the Koch brothers, Foster Freeze, and Robert Mercer, who just spend their money on e-celebs. They never give to the arts. If they did, Martina could be a fully funded to help the cause. Yeah, this is something I think they've definitely, or a follower of mine that we talked about last time, and I bring it up all
Yeah.
the time. I mean, I do have a lot of criticisms of the right as well. I'm not just like full on like, yeah, man, it's like, let's all give each other a big hug type thing. The past 5 years, I've become really bitter and frustrated about a lot of things. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
I've got another note.
I'm just saying that I agree with you, and there's a lot of people as well that aren't party people. You know, they're not Republican. Oh, I'm Republican or Democrat. It's not. It's not
Right.
that.
Right.
And and you're right. If there were more like really rich people that saw that there was a market for artists, eh, eh, the product that people like me and yourself and others are Tom McDonald is a great example.
Hmm.
Tom McDonald
Hmm.
and his success is bellwether type stuff. When you look at the success of Tom McDonald, there it is. There's a market for
Hmm.
this type of thing
Yeah.
that we're doing.
Yeah, and I mean, I fully support him. I think he's great. But then there's people like you and I who aren't necessarily making political type artwork that I think could resonate with whether you're left, you're right, like whatever. Care about
Yeah,
politics, don't care about politics.
yeah,
We just want to be free to do what we do without being fucking canceled about it.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
think the stuff that we do is subtle. You know, even though my stuff, your stuff isn't screaming, you know, MAGA. There's subtleties in it. Now, the left, when I was performing with, you know, in my heyday, the left loved my stuff. You know, they adored me, they loved me. But you know what? I always considered my work kind of conservative. While they were like, you know, dildoing on stage, you know, pulling something out of their vagina as a trick or doing some sort of shock value kind of thing, I
Yeah.
was bringing, you know, I was doing uh old, you know, like you go to the Met, the Roman Greek statues, and doing those poses, and the religious, you know, with halos and, you know, erte type
Yeah.
costumes. So I was bringing in the conservative type of ideals in the world, in the mainstream, without screaming about politics. And I think you do some, you know, similar stuff,
Yeah.
whatever you're tapping into, what your heart is speaking to you, whether it's something religious or whatever, like, and there's a way to do that that's not preachy about it, and it just becomes good and
Sure.
anyone can like it. And I think there's value in that. And what we talk about on my streams is like I said, let's say the Reformation and the Counter Reformation is when the Baroque Baroque art came to be, because they were fighting this, you know, anti-religious stuff, and they were like, no, let's like tap into the hearts and minds of the people, and let's do it through
Mhm.
artwork. And look at what they did. They did the Sistine Chapel. They got Bernini making these fantastic
That's
sculptures
right.
that are just like
Right.
insane, you know. And it's
Right.
like they did all this stuff because they
Mhm.
knew to tap into the hearts and minds of people, and that's the importance of art. So if these
Mhm.
investors, these rich people, the Foster Frees, like, okay, there's the Eslib thing, there's punditry, like, okay, I get it. But what's really going to make an impact is the arts. And I don't say that just to be like, support the arts, guys, fund me. It's no, there's really something to it here if you look at history.
100%. Any when like you do when you look at great thinkers and great philosophers and you know when you look back into anything, you know, especially you look back into ancient Chinese culture and
Mm,
civilization, the way that they spoke about artists and music and the power
mm,
that's in the arts and the way that it influences individuals and societies.
mhm.
It's a huge force. It's a huge power. It's and that's why it's so important that the the controllers control the arts because it obviously has such a huge impact
It
on
does.
our experience here. It's part of, you know, it's part of uh, the shadows that are being cast on the wall, and whoever has control of the shadow makers runs the game, runs the table.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Importance of art. I always stress it in every
Very.
stream.
It really is. And I have young children. I have two. You know, my daughters are in elementary school, and the first thing that gets cut all the time, and the first thing that has been cut from, for example, the schools that they go to, are the arts. There's music and arts, and thank God there's a very the teachers and the parents that are part of the schooling system where they're in school, you know, help out and do the best they can to continue to foster that sort of thing. But it's way important. So
Yeah.
So anybody out there on the fence about supporting Lady Alchemy, uh, support. Even if it's
Or
a dollar.
Or Michael Graves. So go to the website officialmichaelgraves.com. You can support on censored.tv as well. So if you're
Yeah,
into this kind
and
of
you know what?
stuff.
You know what? My partner is gonna bash my face in if I don't tell everybody. Facebook at Graves 1119 is the Facebook. It's the fan page
Oh,
at Graves
oh shit. I
1119.
should have put that on this thing. Okay, here I'm putting it up on the screen. There's a lot of stuff here, but it's at Facebook is at Graves 111
1119.
1119. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I studied math, and sometimes I have I'm not some savant or anything, but I sometimes like numbers have a pattern to me. I'm trying to think of the pattern of how you remember 1119. It just is what it is. Okay.
Yeah.
1119.
Three ones and ones.
Three ones and a nine. See, so the 3 and the 9, they are they go together.
There
They're
it is.
multiples of each other. That's the pattern. There's the pattern. Okay, yeah, it's up on the screen, all this stuff. But yeah, I definitely want to come on here and promote Graves today, because that's kind of what it's about too. It's
Thank you.
about supporting each other. So it's like,
Yeah.
whatever following I have, I mean, I'm not no one big or anything, but whoever is on my team here and a regular viewer, they are actually really interesting, artsy kind of people who are politically aligned with us. Most of them, some of them I even have maybe that are center or a bit lefty, but they're like, I really like Martina. I kind of agree with her. The SJW stuff is a bit much, And so if they're kind of my people, then they'd be really interested in your kind of stuff, because they're really hungry for this kind of content and people like us. So follow.
There really is a void as far as art and culture in this movement, whatever you call it, the cancel movement, the freedom movement, the liberty movement. There's a lack of good music and good art. And I'm so appreciative of you and your community and what you do, because my journey has really, because music and entertainment is so lefty, is so progressive, which is even fine, but it's
Right.
so intolerant of people like me, to the point of what you see now. It's so intolerant that there's no input there. But so most of the people that I've been surrounded with are pundits, are thinkers. They're creatives in a different sort of way. They're not necessarily, they're not musicians or artists. So I'm trying to say in a terrible way that
I get it.
that I'm thankful to be in an artsy type situation.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, really, I'm just a theater kid.
Me too.
I'm an artsy fartsy kind
Yeah,
of
dude.
dude.
Yeah, me too. No, and that's exactly it. It feels good. It feels like home when, and I'm sure you've been the same way. Yeah, like exactly what you said. We've been around a lot of the punditry type stuff where it kind of consumed me for a few years, and I never felt right, only because, what am I doing? I'm not a talker. Like there were times I've been on Gavin's show where I think it came across really boring. And people tell me that's why I'm drinking a Monster. This is my second Monster today because I got told on my last stream, like, yeah, your aesthetics are really good and all, but then it's like you stream, like, I think you need to take a caffeine pill or something. I'm like, you know what? Like, I am just like, I come across so boring at times. This is not me.
It's a really hard thing to do, because to be effective at it, to be effective at something like that, to be a pundit, you gotta really look at everything and focus on it in a very intense way. And when you, at least for me, when you put yourself into that and you really get into that world, it is very, very uncomfortable. At least for me, it's very, very uncomfortable. It's overwhelming. There is so much, the corruption and the ugliness and the darkness in everything is very difficult to combat. Um, and
Yeah.
yeah, and so, which is fine, and I love doing that. I appear on Infowars at least once a month,
Hmm.
usually twice a month, and any place else that is a sort of punditry sort of type thing like that. But the artist in me is always crying out and
Right.
always needs to that part of me
Same.
always needs to be fulfilled.
Same.
And
Yeah, so it's
yeah,
definitely good to
and
build a
it always pushes
community.
its-
Sorry, what was
yeah,
that?
for sure.
It always pushes
It
what?
always push, the artist in me always pushes itself to the forefront, and the Radio Deadly Show on Censored TV is a great example of that. Where I'm sitting here going, "Oh God, what am I going to do?" And the outcome of what am I going to do? I have this platform. I have this opportunity to tell people things, to present something. I have this
Yeah.
platform to
Yeah.
to
Well,
pipe into
well,
to
well, the
people's hearts
thing,
and minds.
I don't know about you, but when I perform, I have incredibly bad stage anxiety. And I know I'm not the only person that I know, like really major rock stars and stuff can also have stage anxiety. And it sounds really corny, but I feel like this can actually work for us too, and work for you for Radio Deadly. Is that I would tell myself these mantras. I actually had to stop drinking too. I was sober for my last year performing because I was like, I can't go out there depending on drinking like a shot of like
Right.
one shot of whiskey. Like, let's be real. Like, I can't handle
Right.
taking a little too many
'cause
shots
that
of
one
whiskey.
shot turns two.
Yeah, it's a bad routine to do. And when
Judy
I'm out,
Garland. Think Judy Garland.
yeah, and when I'm performing regularly every night, like it's a bad routine to get into. And I quickly realized, you know what, like let's not do this. And I had to deal with my anxiety a different way about this. You get stage anxiety because like I'm insecure, so it's like what are
Right.
people thinking about me? Oh, am I good enough? You start thinking in these circles in your head. That's why you get the anxiety. So I would start telling myself mantras backstage before I'm about to go out, and it sounds really corny, but I feel like it could help us with what we're doing in our stupid shows that we're doing here. I don't know what we're doing, but I used to tell myself, have fun and be yourself. Now, in regard to doing these types of shows, talk shows, whatever, your Radio Deadly, it's like having fun is really important because when I'm out there performing, if I'm not having fun, the audience can sense that. They get like the secondhand
course.
embarrassment of like, that person's really nervous. Like you could tell, oh God,
Yeah.
I feel bad for so it's like when you're having fun, the audience is like, fuck yeah, we're chilling, we're having fun. So it's really important to just genuinely have fun and always remember that. And then the be yourself part, again, sounds really corny, but if you think about it this way, when I'm performing as a dancer, I'm not trying to be anyone. I'm no ballerina. Okay. I'm not Beyonce, I'm not these people. I'm me. And I have a certain unique skill set that puts all these little factors together that makes me uniquely me. And if I do what I do best,
Yeah.
that's what I need to showcase and show. And it's the same thing with our talk shows is that have fun and be ourselves. You know what? Don't try to be Gavin. Don't try to be, InfoWars. Don't try to be what other people are doing. I'm not trying to be Tommy Lauren or anyone else. Let me do what I do.
I think that's amazing advice. That's great advice. That's great advice. And I've gotten to the point in my life. I used to get stage anxiety like bad.
Yeah.
But it got to the point in my life where I got to a point where I was confident in myself. I was confident in my abilities, and I pushed through that. So yeah, now I have that mantra. Again, I'm a Christian. I'm born again, and so I ask God to give me the ability to speak or to sing and to glorify God and to carry out His will in this physical realm. It's not about me, I trust in God, and I don't rely on my own understanding.
That's true. Great. Yeah, kind of what we were talking about before, what you mentioned a little bit, taps into this very last, I'm calling it a super chat. It's not a Streamlabs donation, which is Nax McDonald. I always call him that. Hey, what's up, buddy? He's always in here, always supportive. Gave $3. He says, if you guys have the power, Would it even occur to you to try and cancel everyone with a left-wing opinion? It seems that the obsession of the left, it seems to be the obsession of the left, whereas we do our own thing, make it, maybe it is because they know they are working, so they have to silence dissent. Maybe it knows because they know what we're doing is working, so they have to silence dissent. Yeah, I mean, that's a good comment because it's like, no. I mean, there are people I performed with that I strongly disagree. Come on, being a performer in New York City, you know everyone around you
Yeah.
probably doesn't agree with your politics, especially in my scene. I don't know how your scene was or what that kind of misfit scene was, but or just the general like performing scene that you're in, rock and roll, whatever you call it. Sorry, I'm doing a really bad job promoting, whatever you call what it is
No.
you do. But in my scene, it was definitely heavily LGBT, a lot of freaks. I mean, I loved the LGBT community in my day performing with them because I considered myself a freak, as a weird, freak as in weirdo.
Yeah,
I'm a
sure.
fucking weirdo. I'm a freak. We're a freak. You're a freak. I love it. But the day that they started trying to like normalize being a freak and act like, how dare you call us a freak? And like children should be like, okay. And it's like, okay, now I'm having a problem. I don't have a problem you being a freak. So I knew that everyone around me was not agreeing with my opinion. I didn't necessarily agree with their lifestyle, but it's their lifestyle. I don't care what you do. I do what I do. You do what you do. You want to pull shit out of your ass on stage? That's fine. I do what I do, So no, it does not occur to me to cancel anyone that I disagree with.
Yeah, I always go back to energy, and we go back to what you resonate with.
Right.
And I think that I've people that don't have that instinct to cancel people like us, people obviously like your audience, and we're not, our natural instinct isn't to destroy.
Right.
And I think that that's one of the biggest differences between our camp, our group, or I don't know what you want to call it, our movement.
Yeah.
People like us, we're not looking to destroy. I don't want to destroy or tear people down. I think that I know that one of the things that makes our country so great, our world so great, is the animating contest of ideas and thoughts and opinions. That's what makes, those are the colors in our movement. Those are the things that make individuals. And the other side, the left, the progressives, the liberals, they want to tear everything down. They're not looking to build. They're looking to raise, all, with a Z, right? They're looking to burn everything down and to recreate it. Also, in our people like me, there's a lot of Christianity. There's a lot of people who believe in God. They believe in a higher power. And people like myself believe and know, because it's an inherent truth, that we'll never fix any of our problems. None of these problems here on earth will ever be solved, whether it's government, whether it's business, industry, economics,
whether
whatever
it's social justice.
Because humans are inherently broken. Our hearts were born broken. What the natural instincts of our heart is bad. It's bad stuff, right? Sin is what's wrong with the world. And so you need a new heart. You need to change your life. You need to be born again. If you need to say that we are in this world, but we're not of this world. And when you start to have that mindset that it's not about me, and there's much more, there's greater things happening that we can't perceive because we vibrate on such a low level. And when that happens, that opens up our minds, and that frees our spirit and gives us discernment and allows us to tap into what we were talking about at the beginning of our conversation, that brilliance, that energy that we tap into, that we all have the ability to tap into. And so we resonate it differently over here, right? We're the light. We're looking to build instead of destroy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they call it the breath, the Akash, and the self, and it's kind of what the breath is like a spirit is synonymous with spirit if you start researching language
Yes,
and
that's
stuff.
right.
And the breath of life that God blew into us, it's the breath, it's the spirit. Or and tapping into that is what alchemy is about. That's what Christianity is about. That's really what Jesus was his true spirit form, in human form, if that makes sense. But
Yeah.
it's trying to tap into that light is what it's about. Yeah, man. Okay, great. I think that sounds good. I'm going to distribute. There's this thing on D Live called a treasure chest. So when I distribute rewards, a little bit of coins. So D Live has like this. It's like God. I'm talking like gamer shit too. I'm not a gamer at all, but it does this
That's
immersive.
okay.
It does this immersive thing with the chat where it has Lino coins, and Lino can be converted to US dollars, but it distributes this treasure chest to my followers that we've racked up on this stream. So let's do a little reward distribution, shall we? Okay, we're doing it.
That's so cool. That's so amazing.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. It's interactive, and then we'll play a song and wrap this
Yeah.
up. All right, so now we are distributing rewards 20 seconds. Let's see who gets it. It's kind of fun.
How do you get it? What do you have to do to get it?
I think it does it randomly in the chat. I don't know. Maybe they can tell us. I'm not so hip
That's
with
so
all this
cool.
stuff, but
Yeah.
the more people interact, there have been people donating. Thank you, White Art Collective. Thank you so much. He donated Ninjagini. Thank you. Okay, so it was distributed. We had 82.5 Lino coins, which go to the luckiest followers. Giant Squid got 19.3. Oh, how fun. That's amazing. White Art Collective got 11.5. Hi, welcome. Board Troll got 8.6. I don't know how to say your name, but it's DAZCTGT, got 7.
Wow.
And Ted Bundy Groiper got 6. And then and a lot of them just redonate the coins or lemons back to me. So that's fun. Thank you so much, Board Troll and Ted Bundy Groiper. That's fun. A little interactive thing, It's cool. All right. So do you have an idea of what you might want to play for us to wrap this up with?
Let me find a pick and I'll play you a song. Let's see. What do I do with my pick? Of course, I've lost my pick.
Oh, all right. Take your time.
All right, I'm a pro. I'm gonna play without a pick.
Oh, use those fingernails. Okay, I'm muting myself.
All right, the song that I've chosen is called "All the Troubles." All the Troubles. Here we go. Without a pick. An angel came to me, a voice like a symphony, whispered in my ear all her secrets. She covered me in tears and I rose up in the morning. I dreamt I saw your face, hallelujah. Like to teach the world a song that makes all your troubles feel like they are gone. I take the rain and turn it into sun, so that all your troubles feel like they are gone. They're gone. She covered me in her tears and
took back the gate, the rose that had been burned by the sun. She covered me in her tears, and I rose up in the morning, and I dreamt I saw your face. Hallelujah. I'd like to teach the world a song that makes all your troubles feel like they're gone. I take the rain and turn it into sun, so that all your troubles feel like they're gone. They're gone. They're gone. They're gone. If there's a smile on your face, and if there is love in your heart, all the troubles I've known will be gone. If there's a smile on your face, and if there is love in your heart, all the troubles I've known will be gone. They're gone. They're gone.
Well, thank you for that. I don't know. You know the deal. What's that one about? And what's that one called?
That one's called all the troubles. One of the things I wrote it maybe 3 years ago. One of the things that has been the most difficult part of my life as a music man and living my life on the road for the past 11 years has been being away from my children, and it's almost like the brevity of life becomes even more overwhelming because there's a time limit on everything. That time is constantly counting down for us. And since I've had children, my oldest being 11, my youngest being 3, the time that I'm away from them and the time that I don't get to share life with them does something. And so I wrote that song with them in mind, but with also with all of my fans in mind, because at the end of the day, if God asked me, well, what do you want to do, Michael? Like, what do you want to do? What's your wish? And I would say, well, God, I wish that I could write a song that makes everybody's troubles feel like they're gone. That would be my wish. And yeah, so I'm constantly working towards that.
Yeah, man. No, I feel that. I feel that. And again, this is the type of stuff that I'm saying. It's not screaming MAGA, but it has the underlying message that is something that we want to pursue into the ether of the collective conscious, you know? It's like these types of things. And
I want to build people up.
Yeah, I mean that's amazing. That's amazing. And it does remind me too, when we did these art streams, we were going over some classic Dutch art, and there's some, even in a still life, you know, in a still life painting, there are reminders of mortality and stuff in it when they put a skull there. I don't know if that's what the skull kind of references for you guys as well, you or the Misfits in general.
Sure.
The skull theme, it represents, and in alchemy too, the first phase of the alchemical process is called Negretto, and it's like a black, it's like a death of sorts. And the death is kind of good also in a way, you know, not physical death, but it is kind of what we're dealing with. We're dealing with Negretto, which is a burning, a purging, a death of something to be able to rebuild anew. So I'm still waiting for that rebuilding part, but it's been a long death of this. But yeah, and the still life stuff that
There's a
has,
season for everything.
yeah, and yeah. So yeah, that it's just it resonates. So I'm just in my head, like it's making sense. I don't know if I'm like you. I don't know what I'm saying, if it's making any fucking
You,
sense, but I'm
well, tell me
connecting.
you're making sense.
Okay, good, because I'm connecting. How your musical form of your artistic form of music, how I'm seeing the similarities to this old Dutch still life painting, because we're all talking about the same things here.
Yeah.
You know, we're all talking about this reminder of life and death and things that matter, and so it's pretty cool. Yeah, I think it got reconnected again, but I'm still recording either way. Yeah. uh Sometimes the internet plays up in the UK, so yeah, we're offline. Well, we're
I
still
totally get it. I live in the sticks, so I get it.
Yeah, well, it says we're offline on D Live, which is okay, but I'm still recording, so we pretty much reached the end of it anyway. So, whew, good timing to kind of die here, but we're still recording for YouTube, and we'll just wrap it up and say the goodbyes there, guys. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you can still contribute. I'm in the chat with you, watching right now, and the Streamlabs donations will go through. So please go to streamlabs.com/Martina Marcota TV. It will help, my goal. This is what I'm doing in my life. And with Michael, you can go to, let me just bring his screen back up with all his things. And I don't have the Facebook there again, but it is, give that Facebook. Let me see. Paul gave it to me as well.
It's at Graves 1119.
That's right.
Graves 1119.
Yeah, that's right. So the plug for Facebook is at Graves 1119, and the rest of it is up here as well. There's the merch site, which I can bring up again real quick before we get out of here.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's a pre-sale that we're doing with all of that merch. I'm in a rebuilding process.
Cool.
Especially after the last year and all that's happened. So I appreciate all of the contributions. You buy a sticker for $1, it helps.
Right. Yeah, no, I wish actually we got to do this on D Live again real quick, but it's okay. We're recording for YouTube. YouTube is watching this, and the page is up. So if you go to officialmichaelgraves.com and go to the merch section, there is some really fun stuff. Before you leave, if you can just tell me what's the deal with this I just found it interesting. This personal collection item. What is this? Crystal decanter.
The guitars?
Oh, the guitars as well. I was going in order of, top left to right, but let's look at the guitars real quick. Oh, so it's various guitars, more than one.
Well, if somebody buys that, they get a guitar, they get an acoustic guitar, and the examples that you see of those guitars are what you get. I do artwork on the guitar. It could be anything really that I think of, and I paint up the guitar, and then I play it. I record a
cool.
We go on like Zoom or Skype or whatever, and I perform for whoever buys it. And then your guitar is mailed to you. Sometimes we're on the road and we actually deliver the guitars to people.
Yeah.
But it's a really cool, personal, collectible sort of thing.
Cool. Hold on. Sorry, I just figured I'd stop and start the stream again. I think let's start it again just in case anyone's popping back in here when we talk about this. All right, whatever. That's really cool. That's a good idea. It's always you got to do these creative, random things like that.
Yeah.
Okay. And bunch of merch. I like that you do the girls' shirts too, because it's nice to have the fitted girl tee. Honestly, and it has a more flattering kind of figure. But is that your face on it? The skull face?
Yes.
That's cool. So you have your own I've seen it around. That's what's the deal with the skull makeup?
When I joined the Misfits, those guys they all had their makeup, they all had their character that they were, and I needed to create a character of who I was.
Right.
And the idea really came to me when I looked in the back of the Legacy of Brutality
Yeah.
record from the Misfits, and Glenn had superimposed the Crimson Ghost over an image of him, and I said, "How cool would that be?" And Glenn actually painted the skull on his face one Halloween back in the late '70s, early '80s, and so I said, "All right, that's what I'm gonna do. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be. Let me try to paint this a skull on my face, and I want it to be like the cross between this like a scarecrow, because I used to do the stitches that I have on my arm now. They're tattooed. I used to draw them on, and I used to joke and say, well, my character is like pieces and parts of all different artists. If you took like Johnny Lydon, and you took Adam Ant, and you took David Bowie, and you took Kurt Cobain and Jim Morrison, right? And you just like sewed them all together out. They would, maybe sprinkle a little bit of Elvis Presley or something,
Oh,
and
yeah.
out comes Michael Graves.
Awesome. Love that. Yeah, no, it's a good picture. I love it. Yeah, so there's a lot of that, and I also really like that you have the 1776 version of your skull thing. Badass.
Yeah.
Cool. And then there's Radio Deadly. That's cool. Have a little emblem for that. Nice. And then there's what's GDU?
The Gravediggers Union. That's what we call the fan club. Yeah,
Oh.
the Gravediggers. Get it?
Cool. And then you have some sort of mask. Cool.
Yeah,
And,
yeah. That's
and a voodoo doll. Handmade voodoo doll.
handmade voodoo dolls. Those are handmade. Very popular item.
It is. It says sold out. Damn. I don't know if you know that. It says sold out. All right. Cool. And then this other personal collection item is a decanter. So what does it say? When given to Michael Graves when he signed on to Horror High Records, one of a kind. When are you getting rid of that shit? I can be a bit hoarder with my beloved possessions. I'm like, no, it's mine. Cool.
I'm the exact opposite, actually. That I gave my partner, my partner in crime, was over here at the farm, and we're just, every time we go through things, I have things in boxes, and my life has been so crazy these past 20 years. I've moved around so much, and I've learned to not hold on to my tangible things, because it just creates heartbreak in my life when I do. That I've really separated myself from a lot of things that I have, and so my partner is over here, and we go through things sometimes. And he's just like, I can't believe you have this. Why is this in a box? Like, there's dust all over it. What is happening? And that was one of the things, and they're very, very special to me, and they're one of a kind. They were made specifically and especially for me and given to me, but I had it put away in a box, and I was just over it, and so my buddy took it, and he had it up for a while, and we figured that, and I mean, really, he figured, he said, well, let's put this up, because it really is, if you're a collector, and there's a lot of collectors in my community, in my fan base, if you're a collector, then that's something that you would is just awesome to have, because there's nothing like it in the world, and it really is something that, even though I'm not close to it, it's a really important part of my life.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say that there are people out there that really do love these kinds of collector's items, unique things. So that could be something really special for someone if if they can use it and have it out and cherish it, instead of being in a box in a garage or
Exactly.
attic, then you're giving it life all over again. So awesome.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For sure. 100%.
Cool. Okay, awesome. Yeah, I just want to make sure. So since DLive kind of shut down, I always have issues with DLive sometimes, but I'm really glad it happened after like 2 hours and 45 minutes instead of in the middle of all this. But I am still
That's
recording
awesome.
for YouTube. So this whole merch
Good.
thing, I wish we did it a little earlier, but for those of you on YouTube, check it out and just get into it. Let's get into the scene. Let's build the scene. You guys are a part of it. The chat is always amazing. I love you guys. You guys are sometimes they enlighten me on things. We'll go over art history and I'm reading literally from a textbook and they're just like, did you know that King
Yeah.
Louis the 14th did this little thing and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, hey, you guys are so smart, man. I love you guys. And they know about all this stuff. I'm sure they'll know about Misfits. When I post about it, people have this or that to say. They're just like, oh, what is he gonna dig your bones, Martina? And I'm like, talking about? And then now I'm like, okay, I get it. It's a song. So they know,
hysterical.
they know things. So this will be really
It's
fun
hysterical.
for them. Go check it out, be a part of the scene, and thank you so much. Thanks for joining me. It means a lot.
Thank you. It means a lot to me. And anytime, you need me, you reach out. And I definitely, I see some collaboration in the future.
I do as well. All right. I'm going to put the intro or outro on now. I don't know if you've checked it out, but maybe in a rerun sometime, I'll send you the link tomorrow. But check out the little video I made.
Awesome.
All right, cool. All right.
Inside Wall Street, motorcycle left. Lines of cocaine hurting hell. Obsessive hands on the glove of your neck. Look at this guy. I hate this man. Struggling to breathe. Sweet enthusiasm and the smell of it. Sex and free in the book to make you die. Obsessive hands and they grab your neck. Look at these guys. I hate this man. Struggling to breathe. Machine gun penalty. The sweet insanity. The black tranquility. Now look into the eye of the psycho. An American psycho. An American psycho. Psycho! Inside of Wall Street, motorcycle looks. Lines of cocaine gun hell. Says if hands in the grab your neck. Look at these sick eyes. I hate them. Struggling to breathe. Machines of penalty. The sweet insanity. The black tranquility. Yeah, look into the eyes of the psycho. An American psycho. An American psycho. An American psycho. Psycho! Psycho! Yeah! Psycho! Psycho!
Torn from the heavens, they fall from the sky and walk the streets among mortal men. They hide in shadows, keepers of the night. Mortal life is brief, can't hold back the demons. Yeah. The blood pours as rain, and soon you'll be alone. Descending angel, has been sent. There's no one to guide us, alone we face the night. Mortal life is breathed for the rebel angel. They make their final stand, and soon you'll be alone. Descending angel, stand by my side. Who's face the night?